Hi there, I'm Alan Cross, and we're going to talk about AC/DC today. Sort of. Kind of. Kyle Hosick has written a book called Highway to Sell. And the first thing that I'm going to tell you is that this is not a book about AC/DC, yet it is. And you'll see what I mean in just a second. So, Kyle, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Alan. This is a privilege.
Let's explain exactly what this is. This is a business case study of AC/DC, a band that's been around since 1973.
That's right.
Along with a guide to how you can use those principles embodied in the entire AC/DC era in your business and be successful doing it.
100%.
Now, one of the things that struck me about it when I was reading it is that, you know, when people think about AC/DC, it's Bon Scott, it's Angus Young, it's Brian Johnson, it's those guys.
Yeah. Exclusively,
pretty much.
Yeah.
And I've seen AC/DC, I don't know how many times. I've got all the records as well. And I've until he died, I didn't really understand Malcolm's role. Because he was the guy behind Angus. He rarely moved around the stage. He let Bon and then he let Brian do their thing. And all the glory and all the attention went to Angus. But the real, let's use some business terms. The real CEO of the band.
That's right.
Was Malcolm.
He's the mastermind. He put the whole thing together. I'll give you a funny story. There's a picture in my book of me with Angus that's at the Park Hyatt in Toronto in 2008.
5'2" of them.
5'2" of them. I didn't see Malcolm. I saw the whole rest of the band get in an elevator. Angus was nice enough to stop. Angus and Brian signed a Black and Black LP I had. Malcolm was at the front desk checking the band into the hotel with the tour manager. That's how much of his thumbprint remained. Even in 2008, he was monitoring. You don't hear a story about $20 million going missing in AC/DC's history.
No, you don't.
Through a manager or through publishing. Malcolm paid attention to every dollar and every cent. The funny thing, the picture of me and Angus that's in the book, you can see Angus holding his per diem for the day. It's a white envelope.
What year is this?
2008.
Okay, I wonder what his per diem would have been in 2008. Doesn't matter.
It's a small envelope. Like, he had his winter coat because they were coming to Toronto. It was November. It was 18 degrees Celsius, believe it or not, the day I saw him. But he had a per diem. And that would have been handed out most likely by the tour manager. But I'd like to think that Malcolm is the guy doling out these envelopes. And there's some suitcase with them for Vancouver and Montreal. Right. And that's how much you can spend today. And we'll count the money when we get home.
Again, I didn't realize Malcolm's role. I mean, he was the rhythm guitarist.
That's right.
He came up with a lot of the riffs.
Yes.
Probably, 90% of them maybe?
Yeah, 80.
And there was never any effort by him to steal the spotlight.
That's right.
And here's where we get into this whole business about the AC/DC business plan that can be applied to any other business that you want to mention. So
That's right.
The CEO organizes, presents the vision, and then lets the employees run with it.
That's right. I make a few there's a lot of case studies in the book of other companies. I tried to make them all companies everyone could relate to. Typically when you get to know the CEO, it's for the wrong reasons in a business. As soon as you know their names, shit hit the fan. And that's Malcolm. You still don't know him. He was around 73 to 2019. Mm-hmm. And I put a picture of him in the book on purpose because unless you're a diehard, so the diehard fans, they know the deal, most of them. And Malcolm's the celebrated guy. But yeah, like he's the CEO, he's the mastermind. But if I relate it to an entrepreneur, he's also the guy who felt the spark, who said, okay, we're going to do this and I'm going to put a team together. So he wasn't immediately a CEO, but he was he had the entrepreneurial spirit, I'll say.
One of the words that you use in the book a lot is spark.
Yep.
This idea of an idea that doesn't necessarily hit you over the head immediately, but there's an inkling.
That's right.
And successful CEOs or entrepreneurs or business managers know when to recognize a spark and when to follow it.
That's 100% correct too. I've had sparks. I want to make a black car on the GO train where you can drink and have a reserved seat because I don't like leaving a J game and being in that throng of people. I'm not doing that. That was a spark. It's a funny story when I'm with my buddies. I've had other sparks that I am doing, like I'm producing a clothing brand.
Let's talk about that.
Sure.
So you've got this clothing brand called Revenue.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me the story.
Okay. So I run an advertising agency. I've had it here running out of Oakville since 2002. And I had a very good year in 2023 coming out of COVID. And I thought I'm going to do a t-shirt to give to my clients, kind of for the first time. And my agency is called Agency One. I put that logo on the sleeve. And I thought, why do all my clients hire me? And it's for one reason, it's to increase revenue. Whether I'm doing a website or helping them rebrand, it always comes back to making more money. I put revenue on the front of the t-shirt. I was wearing it on a walk in downtown Oakville, and a guy, like-minded entrepreneur, no doubt, put his hand in front of me and said, "Where the hell did you get that t-shirt?" That was this immediate spark for me where when I put it on, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, who has a t-shirt that says revenue on the front? He cemented that for me where I went, this is a spark I'm putting into action. I drove home. I registered the domain name the same day and started looking into how to trademark in the apparel space.
And what happened?
I've been going ever since. Just today, I can announce as of tonight, Steven Sabados, who was partners with Stephen and Chris, if you know the show on CBC.
Yes.
He's designing a custom line of art pieces, denim jackets for me. And we're doing New York Fashion Week in February, and he's anchoring the runway. He's going to walk the runway in one of his custom design jackets. So I'm only 16 months into this process, and Stephen and I are both at a party tonight for Spencer Magazine where he's customized 2 revenue t-shirts that will be on mannequins that are getting auctioned off. So that's a great example of a spark that I use the principles of this book every step of the way with this brand. And I didn't start writing this until September 1st of this year. So I finished it in a month because it was all here sort of already. 10 years ago, I was like, there should be a book about how Malcolm isn't hogging the spotlight. He lets Angus do his thing. He orchestrated, and then I just didn't take action. But I think seeing the revenue spark smolder made me go, oh, I think the spark of the book is also a spark. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, though, as a CEO or entrepreneur, first of all, you eat your own dog food.
That's right.
But sometimes you have to kill the baby.
Yeah.
So where in the AC/DC history is an example of Malcolm killing the baby?
Well, before we were taping, you mentioned Dave Evans. I think he hated Dave Evans from the moment they started.
The original singer.
The original singer. He was there before Bon, and I think he's in a few videos. But even the whole band is guilty of trying to get their own identity as individuals together at that time. I can remember Malcolm wearing a jester costume. So, Pot, this is Kettle. Once they started getting their act solidified, I think Dave Evans just wasn't good enough. Mm-hmm. Music as well as anybody. And that period of 73, 74, 75, Kiss is coming on the scene. It was easy to compare your singer to other singers and quickly go, this guy's this guy's not a fit.
Well, there was also some confusion around that time. Are they a rock band? Are they a punk band? What is this AC/DC?
Yeah. Do you know one thing I didn't include in the book, and Malcolm tells this story, is like AC/DC in the 70s actually meant you were gay.
Yes.
Not only did they overcome that to make it, that went away, I would argue, because of them owning that term.
If you go to the album Desolation Boulevard by The Sweet,
okay,
there's a song on there called AC/DC, and that's exactly what it's about.
Right.
So this is 74 when that would have come out.
Exactly.
But their name comes from a Singer sewing machine.
Yeah, exactly. Their sister said, you should be called AC/DC. It's on my sewing machine. And they were told by a taxi driver, are you guys all gay? And Malcolm, there's a famous interview of him being like, what the hell are you talking about? They had no idea that could mean gay.
We go back to the business study here.
Yeah.
So when you are an entrepreneur, CEO of a company, you got your spark, and you got to keep your eye on the prize.
That's right.
And that prize may shift, it may grow, it may shrink, or you may at some point have to abandon it and follow another path.
Yeah.
Again, this is AC/DC. And the biggest one for them was, okay, Bon Scott dies. A band that was on the ascendant at that point, with Powerage and Highway to Hell and, Sin City and all that stuff was happening. And Bon dies, tragically, one of those rock and roll, too much vodka deaths. It's like, okay, well, they're done.
Yeah.
But then they come back with a complete unknown. Like nobody knew.
That's right.
I remember this. I lived through this. Who is this Brian Johnson?
Right.
And I remember this is 1980. The Back in Black album comes out. And I'm listening to the radio station in Winnipeg, and it says, okay, AC/DC's back. And they've got this album called Back in Black. And, here's the title track. And then Brian starts singing, and we go, whoa.
Impossible,
whoa.
right?
This is not Bon Scott. This is not AC/DC. This is doomed to fail.
Right.
And then what happens? They sell 40, 50 million copies of that.
Exactly. Brian had played in a band called Geordie that I guess if you were from Newcastle in England, you may have heard of. Like they were on TV there. And eventually, though, he had to let go of the water ski rope, is the analogy that I use, because I used to play in bands where it's like, you're not going to get back up. Let go. If they want to take you around the lake again, they'll come back for you. So he let go, and he was working. Like I mentioned in the book, he did a commercial for Hoover vacuums. Yeah. That's terrible.
Was he working in a machine shop?
Machine shop. So there's a lathe in Newcastle called the Lucky Lathe that both Brian and Eric Burden worked on in the same factory, years apart. But they call it the Lucky Lathe because these guys both somehow made it happen. But yeah, no, Bon had, the story is, Bon had seen Brian, and he told the band about Brian. I don't know whether I believe this, but Bon said he said he was a wild man, but he had appendicitis on stage. So that's, I think that's maybe embellished a little bit, but Brian, in my mind, I didn't hear it in 1980. I was 4, so I got to consume them both at an equal pace when I discovered the band. But even still, I don't know if you remember, there's a store called Cactus Records and Tapes in Oakville that was all used cassettes and stuff. It was a dive. And I cleared him out. Like allowance, 2 tapes over a summer. And I remember there was no internet, so I had to try to figure out why their sound was different. Of course, you could look at the minimal liner notes in a cassette and see there's a different name there, but that was it. Yeah. You had to fill it in yourself. I had no idea one guy died. But yeah, so back to sort of that business case in the book is every business has that moment where you're thinking, we're done. We're out of money.
My star salesman leaves.
That's right.
My star talent disappears.
That's right. The investor wants an update and we don't have one.
Or an investor pulls out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think really that's, in my mind, the perfect anecdote to be like, don't give up. They could have packed it in and said, well, look what we just did. I don't have it in me to try to start this over. Even though it was like 6 years, 7 years of time, it probably seemed like an eternity to them.
That's 1,000 years in band time.
That's right.
Yeah.
To stay together even. So they didn't give up. They did exactly what they needed to do. They needed to find someone who could fill in. And Brian kicked ass. Kicked ass.
Took a little while to get used to, but
Yeah.
you know, when a song like Back in Black comes on, that is a razor sharp song. But then you hear him do a song like Shook Me All Night Long.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, maybe things are going to be all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, like that album, they lucked out. They kept Mutt Lange as their producer from Highway to Hell over to Back in Black. And that speaks to the team you've built around your business.
Here's what I want to talk about next is consistency.
Yeah.
So even though there were bumps in the road, you know, 3 singers with AC/DC, God knows what they endured when they had to play all those terrible outback bars in Australia. The initial refusal by the American market to pay any attention to them. The horrible tour with Aerosmith on the Draw the Line tour, which I saw, and Aerosmith was just at that point.
Did you really?
Oh yeah,
nice.
Aerosmith was terrible. They were so drugged up at the time, but AC/DC was the opener, and that was the first. Well, I don't know how long they'd been doing it, but that was the first time that I saw Angus get on Bond's shoulders and then go through the audience.
Oh man,
like,
I'm jealous.
Whoa!
I'm jealous.
Wow. What was it? So, but there's this huge bump in the road, yet there's consistency with the AC/DC ethos.
That's a lesson in the book, is like most good businesses have remained consistent, tweaked slightly, and that's like replacing your producer, or you got a different engineer. You know, we could talk about the drummer in, out, 80s, 90s, but the machine they built meant you could replace a part without the audience really noticing there's a difference in the machine.
No, it was Angus. It was, okay, we'll say Angus, Malcolm, Cliff.
Yeah.
And then, you know, fill in and out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Bond to Brian.
That's right. Like back to consistency. I'm most proud to recommend the band to someone who doesn't know them and have been since I discovered them, because I know they won't fuck it up for me. Like if I say you got to check out Metallica and I'm saying it in 1993, their next, you know, they had a couple albums in there like Load, and they were wearing the makeup and stuff. AC/DC doesn't do that. They wouldn't change, and I wouldn't be left hung out to dry like, you're the guy who told me about those guys, and look what they did.
What's the quote?
Oh, the 15 out. Yeah. So Angus has a famous quote, like, people say we've made the same album 12 times, and I have to correct them and say it's 13.
Yeah, because you know what you're going to get with AC/DC.
Right. That's right.
Which is a really, you know, an important thing for a company. Now, there are companies that evolve. Netflix.
Yep.
You know, they used to mail you DVDs and now, you know, look at them.
Yeah.
Where's the consistency there? Explain that.
Like entering the digital age for AC/DC, or
they pivoted, or did they?
They fought iTunes for a long time. Not like a public Metallica Napster fight, but a drag our feet kicking and screaming to have our music available single song at a time because they're an album band. But they came around. There's money to be made. They weren't making it on iTunes. And likely in this scenario, which makes this a good question, I don't think it would have been Malcolm who said, guys, we got to get on iTunes. They were dragged there, but they did it. So yeah, that's probably a unique case. Everything else though has remained the same. Like I've seen them in the last year, and There's arguably 3 fill-ins. Malcolm's fill-in is a family member. The drummer and the bass player are in black t-shirts and fade into the back, and they do their job. But I think that speaks to what Malcolm built, which was, here's the keys and this is the blueprint, which is almost like mergers and acquisitions, where a lot of businesses get bought, and the ones that are successful in selling have built a blueprint that's repeatable, and the buyer can take that business and make it theirs without starting from scratch.
Right. One of the interesting things about the books is that you have spots for, it's a workbook too.
It really is. It is.
So if you go to any chapter, I'm just going to pull one out here.
Sure.
This one's called Consistent Simple, since we're talking about that. And you can read all about what we just talked about. And then there are some pages where you encourage people to write down their own ideas.
That's right.
So this becomes not only a manual, it also becomes a guidebook for yourself.
I put those pages in there to almost pitch writing something down to the reader, because as soon as you see them, you think, oh, I'm supposed to be writing something. You know what? That's a good idea.
Okay, I'll tell you this. If you write something down clearly, and in short, clear, concise, you've solved half your problem.
That's right. And you've committed yourself to whatever you've written down, because you chose those words. And some people, you might not have a pen, you're on an airplane, but I really hope the reader gets something out of it that from their own notes that they've made, because there's an opportunity to write down the spark, like, what are you thinking idea wise? Put it down. Can you action it in 48 hours or less? If you can't, do you really know what the idea is? So it's definitely a workbook, and it's an easy read. This is not War and Peace. All the ideas are concise. I wanted it to be simple. It's a nice large font for 40 plus reading on an airplane in the dark. But yeah, I encourage anyone who's interested in business. You don't need to know AC/DC. There's something for you to get out of the book, and you'll learn about AC/DC if you don't know about them.
This is something that you could actually put on your nightstand.
Yep, that's right.
And or in the drawer, and maybe you're drifting off to sleep. Idea comes.
Write it down.
Pick it up.
You got it.
Write it down, because again, that is literally half the battle.
That's right.
If you can define what the mission is, then the mission is accomplishable.
You got it. Thank you so much.
Where can you get the book?
Pretty much everywhere digitally. They make it kind of easy to... Do you know they print these when you order them?
Yeah, I know. It's on demand printing.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, when I started writing, I was like, geez, I'm going to have like 1,000 of these in my office. No, you don't. But so there's a few places it's in print, which is nice, but everywhere online, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, Amazon, all the key players, you can pick it up there. It's digital and it's paperback. I haven't done a hard copy, and I haven't narrated it myself, but I think that's in my future.
Oh, an audiobook.
I think so.
I think so too. I mean, it'd be a short one.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
That's right.
And maybe, as you're going through the audiobook, there'll be another spark.
That's right. Well, thank you.
Congratulations on the book. It's really helpful. I learned a lot about AC/DC and about running a business. So I can wholeheartedly recommend it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.